Hello and welcome to the program. My name is Michael Finney. Today I am joined by Liu Liu, developer of the app Draw Things. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Liu. I'm working from San Francisco, and Draw Things is my latest venture into the world of generative AI. It's an app that runs on iPhone, iPad, and macOS. It runs completely offline and lets you write a text and generate image out of it. It's a complete tool set in the sense that it provides everything you need to editing an image within the app using the latest AI tools. That means you can use your own photo and erase part of it, add a new object into it through the text prompt. Also allow you to change existing photos in different styles, so on and so forth. The limitations is what model you use and what's the magic prompt you are going to use with this app.
I think like a lot of people, we've all been exploring AI image generation since at least last summer when DALL-E started to gain some steam, and then Midjourney came out, and then Stable Diffusion started to basically allow people to generate right on their local devices and not have to log into a browser to do it, which has been fantastic. I love it. Have had a lot of fun just creating images and sharing them around and trying to do narrative storytelling with it. Where did your journey begin with this? Where did you become interested in AI image generation?
So I've been in the DALL-E beta testing group for a bit time since the summer last year.
Mm-hmm.
But the experience is underwhelming. Let me see. One part is that I'm not very good at prompt editing. Another part is it's just very hard to let the computer do the things you want to do. It's not an iterative process, if you know what I mean, right?
I do.
You write a prompt, it gives you 4 images. And then if it's not what you want, you're trying to craft the prompt better. And so that's an underwhelming experience. But then I saw this article online that talk about this author, how he has some images idea in mind, and then use Stable Diffusion to first generate a rough idea of, I think that's a post-apocalypse Seattle scenario. And then that's the image he wanted to generate. And then he started with the image. It's not exactly what he wants. So he used image to image, fill in some components from another image, and then from there fine-tune the image until get a pretty good post-apocalypse Seattle scenario. So that's pretty interesting to me, because it shows a complete workflow, which actually allow you to start with the idea in mind and actually tune the final image to the ways you're liking. And at that time, I was working mostly around the reinforcement learning. I have a framework I built to do reinforcement learning training, actually. And so I was thinking Stable Diffusion seems fun. And let's ported that over to my framework and see how it handles those kind of large models. Is there any breaking point when it handles those large models?
So let me ask
after
you,
that was done, I posted it out.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah, finish your thought or any additional things you were going to talk about. I was going to ask about models specifically, but go on.
Yeah, and at that time, once I finished the work, I posted to a forum, basically the Swift forum, about my work, and people ask, since it's written in Swift, can it run on an iPhone? And then I spent a few days to tweak the model so that it actually runs on the iPhone. And the form factor looks great for you to sort of editing on the phone and then just carry it anywhere to continue work on whatever you was working on. So that's sort of the start of I actually start to seriously build the app.
Yeah, very cool. So let me ask you this. You've got knowledge of reinforcement training and kind of programming models and training models. Is there a model within Draw Things that you have tweaked or you have customized or created?
If you mean the model trained or fine-tuned? Right now, no. And those models are vanilla stable diffusion models. The weights are the same. The buckload of work is on RAM assumption. So iPhone have 4 GB to 6 GB of runtime memory that you can use. And for app, you practically speaking, you only allowed to use about 2 GB. And for stable diffusion model, that's 1.6 GB in parameters. So you practically for all the neural network activations, you have around 500 megabyte budget to that to work. And if you dive into that deep of memory allocations, you'll see that deficits in a lot of existing framework, including Apple's CoreML, including PyTorch, to handle that. Mm-hmm. And I did a bunch of work in that area to make sure the RAM consumption is well under control. But I didn't train the model myself. Mm-hmm. There are a few models that I would love to fine tune in the future, but haven't done that yet. We can discuss about that, or we can jump to a different question.
Yeah, all good. So within the piece of software, and I got to say, it's pretty incredible that you have made this function on a phone, to be honest with you, to be able to kick out images. And I imagine there's probably some limitations there in terms of either like resolution or just how long it takes it to spit out the image in terms of complexity and other parameters along those lines. But when you're running it on desktop, like I am, and I've only done a couple of images with your piece of software so far, found it literally yesterday and then reached out to you and wanted to, have a conversation about it because I think it's pretty incredible. Where are you trying to go with this thing? Do you intend to continue developing it? Are there other features that you want to integrate? Are there things that you feel like are missing or part of your community wants? Tell us about some of that.
So I don't discuss in public of the roadmap of the app, but I can promise that it's my main focus going forward, this app on both desktop and mobile. And one thing I think not me, only me, but the community are interested in, and I think it's a fascinating topic, is consistent subject generation, meaning that you have some kind of characters or objects. Let's talk about characters.
Yeah,
and the characters may wear a particular hat. We may wear a particular earrings, have a particular outfit. How do you carry this character from one image to another image or to a different scenario, to a different environment? I think that's a fascinating topic for me. And I think the community just touched surface of it. There are a lot of work needs to be done for that to work
absolutely
pretty well. But if you see people posting, right, you've been to the Discord server of mine, and you see people posting, there are some of the pictures that already have consistent characters there. Here and there, that stuff doesn't match. Maybe on one picture, there's a earring on the left ear, on another picture, it's only earring on the right ear. But there are some resemblance between those images, and it's pretty fascinating to watch how people, with this limited control you provide, writing text and erase part of the image to inpen, those kind of stuff, to come up with images that have those kind of consistency. Yeah. But I think if we have technology moving forward and provide enough knobs and tools, we can make this much better and approachable.
Let me ask you a particular technical question about this, because I haven't seen it elsewhere, and perhaps, I haven't done a deep enough dive, and that's on me. But what I would really like to see is the creation of images, and particularly I think it would be useful for what you're talking about in terms of character generation, but being able to create PNGs that are just your character with transparency intact around them and no background.
Right. That's a subtopic of it. And it's actually not hard to do those days. You can specify to see it's a simple background, for example.
Mm-hmm.
And then while it's solid, doesn't contain alpha channel. Those solid backgrounds are pretty easy to remove with existing technology available.
Oh, for sure.
Example, Apple, on Mac OS, you can remove background.
100%.
On iPhone, you can do cutout.
But but the other side of it is, if you don't even have to do that extra step, that's like, that's a bonus. That's just like, in terms of workflow, that would make things that much easier,
Yeah, definitely. Also, since you can generate character turners using the texture inversion, it's conceivable to just, from a few pictures, you generate a 3D model out of it as well. Those are pretty simple to do nowadays.
Right.
And you can integrate that into the flow. But it's more exciting for me is that providing a general tool and work with users to figure out the actual use of those tools, rather than, because for a long time, right, we've been working with software or tools that operates within the parameters of software designers set. And now with all these AI tools, on one extreme is the chatbot, right? It's undefined. The parameter is undefined. It's user help to define the parameters of the software. And I think that's a new characteristics that pretty exciting to explore as a software designer myself, right?
Yeah, absolutely. What other software have you developed that we might know, or that you have out there available for people?
Yes, I've been developing software for close to 2 decades. And the first software I've been doing is actually an image editor on desktop. That's 20 years ago, 2002, I believe. And that was in Chinese market. And in the beginning of 2010, I worked in Facebook and pretty heavily involved in the Facebook iOS app rewrite. After that, the software you probably heard is Snapchat, the iOS app. I touched every aspect of that app and leading the iOS development until 2020. So, but I haven't been an independent developer for all those years. I'm mostly involved in open source and the leading development in those big corporations. So this is a new experience for me.
Yeah, this is great. Honestly, and you have, a great background in terms of development and, skill set and what you've touched. And I would say some of that interesting stuff you were talking about in terms of graphics software 20 years ago, some of what Snapchat does and what their augmented reality capabilities are, if you've had any experience with that, and bringing that forward to AI image generation and being able to launch lenses or anything along those lines, seems incredible to me.
Yeah, definitely. I think the one thing through all those year experience and why it's exciting, like I said before, is that all the software we build, including lenses, we operate within the bounds of the software designer. Or in lenses case, later we've been more flexible because we have Lens Studio and allow other people to create lenses, right? But then there's still separations of the consumers who use lenses versus people who create lenses, right? And those people who create those lenses set the parameters for the software. The exciting part about generative AI is that the exactly consumer of the software sets the parameters for the software. It's not software designers, it's not lenses creators. It's people who use this tool day to day, discover new capabilities of this tool, and then integrate that new capabilities into their own workflow. And this is very fascinating to me.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. And there's, people that become personalities or influencers that lean on this technology and really kind of push the boundaries, like you're saying, and it becomes part of their identity, becomes part of their brand.
Right. And we are only at the beginning of this, right? So one thing I compare to people is that for the past 10 years, I've been working on what I call captured visual content creation, meaning that the phone with a camera is ubiquitous during that time frame. And then you capture photo, capture video, do post processing, and then get a distribution channel like Snapchat, TikTok, or YouTube. And then that generated a new occupation. Now we're known as creators, right? And now we are very early in this trend, which I call it synthetic visual content creation, meaning the content is not captured photos, but rather it's something you have in your mind and bring that to life, basically. And we're still early on this area where we can only generate a single image, right? We cannot do videos. We cannot do 3D interactive content. And the capabilities is still maturing, but once all those things are ready, we're going to see a new generation of creators that leveraging those tools to generating synthetic entertainment content for people. You already see that through this new Twitch Simpson, or not Simpson,
Seinfeld. Yeah, that was fantastic. I love that.
Seinfeld, yeah. And those are very, very crude. And imagine what we can do by the end of this year or next year or
For sure.
2-3 years from now. And then you're going to see a new occupation like we have with creators. Those are, I don't know what's the name of those people. Basically, people who doing visual design in big studios, in Hollywood studios, in game studios, or they have to do those in big companies. Now they have those tools to help them to augment them. They can be indie designers out there, and then design their own content for people to consume. It's very early. We're still very early on this.
And that's the boat that I'm in. Like the things that you're talking about in terms of like 3D asset generation and video work and things like that. I've got a project that dabbles in those things and is trying to, get more of that kind of content creation off of the ground over the last year. So, I'm happy to be a guinea pig for anything that you are working on with Draw Things and everything else. If there's something that I can contribute or utilize your tech to implement with my project, I'm happy to do that. Is there anything that you have not touched on that you want to touch on or that you want to say or explain that you think is important for people to know or to understand that we haven't talked about yet?
What do you want to say in the app?
What do I want to see? Well, I told you the one thing I really want to see, which is PNG transparency still intact. That would be valuable for me. And I was going to ask, about video implementation or even simple, maybe morphing might be an easy thing to accomplish in a sense, because I know that that's popular. There are a lot of apps out there that do that. I had to look up how to do it using DaVinci Resolve, and it might be a feature that is not completely a video integration, but in a very simple way, it gets you a little closer to video, or it kind of whets people's appetite for the idea of video, and they're cool looking. People love to look at morphs, I think.
Yeah, but now video is still quite early. You have those inconsistencies between stable diffusion generations, and it can be much better if you take the temporal data into your model generation.
Yes.
The problem is that we lack abilities to train new models for video generations besides what the big corporations done, right? But overall, it's not hard to train those models. It's just we need to do some fine tuning. So videos is one place I think I keep a closer eye on it, because it's pretty easy to process videos on Apple platforms with all the APIs. I've been doing that for how long? 8 years, 10 years, and I know that Apple platform is just much better than Linux or Windows for those processings,
for sure,
because it leverages hardware consistently. So that people who currently use FMPAG to converting into images and then pass out into automatic, pretty arcane. It can be a much more integrated experience to do that.
I agree.
And but it's just stable diffusion as a tool doesn't take the temporal consistency into a consideration. So the result is often mixed. But another thing I'm interested, since you're talking about roadmap, and I think it's ridiculous, but it's interesting, is how we can use the tool to the software draw things to train, either fine tune the models or train textual inversions, and from your phone. That's ridiculous, but because it probably takes 5 hours or 6 hours from your phone to do that. But once it's doable, I think people are going to do it, and I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, it's an incredible time. There's just been an explosion of breakthroughs. I feel like for the last 6 to 8 months, almost constantly, in terms of AI image generation and the little seeds of video. You know, there might be some aspect for you to incorporate audio, because I know there are some like audio models that are out there. Maybe some of those can be pulled down and integrated into the thing as well. You know, maybe some music components, and maybe these things can be kind of stitched together into basic video creation tools, in that sense, where you're getting a soundtrack, you're getting a voiceover, and you're getting very basic image kind of morphing or transitional type of things occurring. You know, that's just an idea, total speculation, but those are some of the things that I was thinking about in advance of lining up with you today.
Yeah, definitely. I think all those are very interesting advances in this industry, but also research, demo, and also a coherent product are very distinctive things. And the talent required to pull from demos and research into a coherent product, we still have a gap in this industry to do that properly, I think.
Yeah.
And that's why when you mentioned DaVinci Resolve, like compared to the state of our research, a lot of features they provide is pretty arcane. So we can do much better. And I'm pretty happy about CapCut because they are doing pretty good job of integrating a cutting edge research into a coherent tool, a mobile actually. So it's a particular skill that you need to train people to do that and have particular taste to do that, and also being not afraid of doing that. So people are not just pursuing fancy demos, but also thinking about how those new techniques going to integrate into tools that give people a lot of possibilities.
Absolutely. Well, hey, thank you for joining me. I appreciate you taking the time, and you know, Draw Things is incredible.
No problem. Thank you.
Absolutely. You enjoy the rest of your day, and we will talk again soon.